Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Always. What are we exploring today?
Today we're talking trauma, like really getting into it.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is, but we've got an incredible guide, Bessel Kolk's book, The Body Keeps the Score.
I've heard so much about that book. Heard it's pretty life-changing.
Totally. So we're going deep into how trauma affects us, and not just emotionally.
Yeah, I've heard it's not just in your head, right? It's like a full body thing.
Exactly. Kolk says trauma leaves a real physical imprint. It messes with your brain function, your nervous system, even shows up as physical symptoms. Crazy, huh?
Wild. So, like, what someone might just think is stress could actually be, like, leftover trauma responses.
That's exactly what we're going to unpack. Have you ever considered like how deeply trauma can actually impact the body beyond just the emotional scars?
Definitely something I've thought about, especially with everything I've heard about this book.
Yeah, me too. Let's jump right in. So the book's core premise is the body keeps the score.
Catchy, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
But what's he actually getting at with that?
Well, it means that trauma's impact goes way beyond just the mind, right? We're talking physical ailments. Things like headaches, digestive issues, even chronic pain.
Whoa, hold on. So you're saying those things could be because of trauma?
It's a possibility, for sure. And Kolk makes a really compelling case for it. It's all about how trauma can actually alter brain structures.
Brain stress. Okay, now you're really getting into the sciencey stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's fascinating, trust me. We're talking about the amygdala, your brain's fear center. Trauma can make it super sensitive. Like, think of a car alarm going off at the slightest touch.
Okay, I get it. Always on edge, like constantly in fight or flight mode,
Yeah.
even when there's no danger.
Exactly. And it can be years after the actual traumatic event. The hippocampus, which is all about memory, can also get messed up.
So it's like your brain's stuck in the past.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
And then there's the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision-making and rational thought. Trauma can totally impair that, too.
So it's not just like you're feeling bad.
Hmm.
Trauma literally messes with your ability to like function.
It can, absolutely. And that's why this book is so revolutionary. It totally shifts how we think about healing from trauma.
Okay, so traditional therapy, just talking about your feelings,
Yeah.
that might not cut it.
Yeah, Kolk explores all of these alternative therapies that really focus on the body. Stuff like EMDR.
EMDR, what's that?
It stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Sounds complicated, but it's basically a way to reprocess traumatic memories, like rewiring your brain so those memories don't trigger the same intense emotional response.
Whoa, so you can actually like change how your brain reacts to those memories. That's pretty amazing.
Right, and there's also stuff like yoga and somatic experiencing.
I've heard of yoga, but what somatic experiencing?
It's all about reconnecting with your body, right? Learning to tune in to the subtle signals it's sending you. It helps you release the tension, the fear that's trapped in your muscles.
Wow, so it's like actually physically releasing the trauma.
Exactly. It's a way to regain a sense of safety and control over your body.
It sounds super empowering. And what about things like meditation?
Mindfulness and meditation, huge for calming your nervous system and promoting self-awareness. Kolk talks about those a lot too.
I can see how those would be helpful. And there's another thing I wanted to ask you about, something that really stuck with me from the book, childhood trauma.
Oh, yeah. That can have even longer lasting effects.
Like how so?
Well, Kolk shows how childhood trauma can actually shape your adult relationships. It can make it really hard to trust people, connect deeply. It's like you build up these invisible barriers to protect yourself.
Man, that's heartbreaking. And it makes you think about how we need to be so much more aware of the impact of childhood trauma, not just for kids, but for how it affects them as adults.
Exactly. And that's a big part of what Kolk is advocating for. He calls it trauma-informed care. Basically, it's a shift in how we approach healthcare, education, social services. It's about understanding how deeply trauma affects people and responding with compassion.
So it's like, instead of just treating symptoms, you're actually trying to understand the root cause.
Yeah. And it's a move away from like solely pharmaceutical approaches. It's about looking at the whole person, the mind-body connection.
That makes a lot of sense. And it seems like something that should be applied everywhere, not just in healthcare.
Absolutely. Schools, workplaces, the justice system, everywhere.
One thing I really appreciate about the book, too, is that it wasn't all doom and gloom. It wasn't just about the problem. It was about solutions.
Totally. Kolk shares so many stories of resilience, people who've healed from trauma using these very approaches.
Like real people, real stories.
Yes, and it's so powerful because it shows that recovery is possible. It gives hope.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So the body keeps the score is more than just a book. It's like
Mhm.
a call to action.
Absolutely. It's a challenge to rethink how we understand and address trauma in ourselves, in others, and in the systems that are supposed to support us.
This deep dive has honestly left me with so much to think about. It makes you wonder, how could understanding the physical side of trauma, like really getting it, change how we approach healing, like as a whole society?
Definitely something to ponder.
I can't recommend this book enough. If you're intrigued by anything we've talked about today, pick up The Body Keeps the Score and explore it for yourself. It's a game changer. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.